Welcome to the Business Networking Influencers Podcast, where connections become opportunities and relationships shape success. Prepare to be inspired, informed, and empowered by the brightest minds in business networking. And now, your host, Tim Nifton.
Welcome to the Business Networking Influencers Podcast. I am your host for today, Marco Salinas, and I am filling in for my buddy, Mr. Tim Nifton. And joining me today, I've got a special guest, Mr. Kellen Kautzmann. Kellen is the CEO of Send It Rising. And today we are going to have a great conversation with him and learn more about him and his business. Kellen, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Mr. Salinas, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We were just talking before the show. This is not your first podcast by any stretch of the imagination. You've done quite a few of these. You are a seasoned podcaster.
Oh, wow.
Is probably a good way to put it, right?
Blessing received.
Yeah, lots of good seasoning. And we all like seasoned, chicken, right? We like our meat to be seasoned. Nobody wants it to be bland.
Yeah, I'll throw some salt. And you ever catch out, what was that show that was so good with the guy that would put the hot sauce on the chicken wings?
Yeah, the cooking show.
Yeah. I ended up buying Da Bomb, which you may or may not be familiar with. So like the episode that Shaq is on, if you watch it, it's always when they get to Da Bomb that they feel like they can't, that gets over. Like Gordon Ramsay, and then they accidentally touch their eye and they regret their entire existence. Right. So I ended up buying Da Bomb. And I put it on my tofu.
How was it?
Oh, it's very good, but one drop, you're done.
That's all you need.
Don't be a hero. Also, don't let it touch the back of your throat. Pro tip.
Oh gosh, that's some real deal stuff, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad to have you here today, Kellen. I'm looking forward to getting to know you and learning more about you and your business. We already know you can handle the heat, so that's a good sign. We already know you bring the seasoning. That's another good sign. So we're off to a great start today, right?
Yeah.
What more can you ask for?
Love and forgiveness.
There you go. We all need it. We all want it. We all need it. Do me a favor, Kellen. Whenever I start these, I like to ask for the little 30-second, 1-minute elevator pitch. Tell me a little bit about who you are, what you're doing in a nice, short and sweet little condensed version.
Sure. So now that AI is prevalent, I'm on top of it. I got a book to my left here written completely with AI. Marketing in 2024 has to 100% be completely attached to that. So pay-per-click, SEO, web design, everything touches AI now. And so we're staying on top of it, which makes it a lot cheaper for folks than it used to be.
Love it. So you would say that you are a marketer. Is that a good way to put that?
Yes, sir.
But you are very much integrating AI into all of that now.
Yeah. For example, I had a $6,000 a month text broker budget for many, many years. And so we were finding writers. We were working with these writers. I am now convinced that if you are a writer on text broker and you're not using ChatGPT to at least start your article, that you're in the minority. And so is it worth it for me to spend $90 on a 1,000-word piece of content? No, it is not. It simply is not. Now, there are certain clients that are hyper-specific to, let's say, like fine needle biopsy, right? Where it gets real specific. Yeah. There's value for sure. And the writer has become the editor. So all of these little, we'll detect if it's AI or not. I don't buy them. Because I had 8 or 10 of them. I ran 100% completely original content. Many of them said it was AI. I ran 100% AI content through them. They said it was original. And so I don't believe that we have a grasp on it because ChatGPT 4 uses Bing search functionality. And so it'll give you multiple results and then you can thumbs up or thumbs down it. So it's so... it can acquiesce so quickly to the changes that are happening that how could you code something that could determine whether or not that is AI content or not? That's beyond my pay grade. But as far as I can tell, the technology is it's simply not there to be able to determine what's AI and what isn't.
That is wild. When did you get into this world? Have you always been self-employed? Like, tell me that origin story.
Used to be a Spanish teacher. And I would write blogs and mostly lesson plans. And then I would do this other thing where I'd write about religions, because beyond everything that we talk about today, the most important takeaway is that to the degree to which money stops you from loving and forgiving people is the degree to which you are a slave to that money.
Sure.
And so many of us fall on our face and worship the god of the millionaire and billionaire. I myself find myself doing this often. I'll wake up and the first thing I do is check the Edward Jones account, check the how are the funds doing, check the stocks, check the this, check the that.
Yeah.
That is not what we're here to do. So it is vitally important that we go through our Rolodex of everyone we've ever known and forgive and love each and every one of them.
Yeah.
Whether or not that is helpful from a business standpoint is irrelevant. Whether or not that makes your business healthier or not is irrelevant. And so that I believe is just quintessentially important for not only your mental health, but the health of your soul.
For sure.
And so when it comes to the business side, what that does, that kind of mentality, is it creates radical honesty. So if my top priority is loving Marco, well, then this podcast is going to go in a different direction. And so that's, I always would love resonating with folks that can see that perspective, understand that perspective. But even if they don't, undeserved love is so important because we're not always the best judges of who deserves it and who doesn't.
Sure.
And that extends all the way to places that I never thought it would. So, for example, I'm on the board of HopeLink, and I was sitting down with a C-level executive there just the other day, and both of us ended up weeping in a business meeting because his son had recently committed suicide. Oh. And I am not going to let a boardroom or a like what I believe should or should not happen with the context of a business relation stop me from being a human being.
Right.
And so that's the gift I want to give the listeners today, which is don't care if it's a boardroom. Makes no difference to me. I don't care if it's on the beach. I don't care if you're on the moon. Prioritizing the way we make people feel is so important.
Very, very, very well said. Man, you're going deep. You're really going deep, Kellen. I like it though. I like what you're doing. I like the direction that you're going. So I'm just curious for myself. So you're a Spanish teacher at this time. What year are we talking here?
So I'll be 40 next month. And teaching Spanish 23 to 26.
Okay. So this was a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. This was a while back. All right. So you're there, you're teaching Spanish. Does something just overcome you and say, I'm unfulfilled here. I need to be doing something bigger. I'm wanting something deeper. I don't like the pay. Like, what was it that, or was it a series of things that kind of led you to say, I got to make a change. I don't want to do the Spanish teacher anymore. Let's go somewhere else.
Well, I struggled with addiction. And so it runs in my family hard. We are passionate folk, you could say. So I was finding that the stress level of teaching was so high that it was really making it hard for me to stay sober. And so at that time, I didn't realize that, young guy in my 20s trying to put two and two together. But the second I got out of teaching was when I got a grip on my addiction. And so I was using substances to try to make my way through the anxiety of being a good teacher.
Yeah.
And I own it completely. That being said, I was asked to teach in some very, very difficult circumstances. My first year, no curriculum. They said, you build it.
Wow.
First year teacher, right? Second year, they're like, okay, we want you to teach all 5 sections of Spanish, right? Most, beginning high school teachers teach 1 or 2, and they would have multiple in the same room. So I'd have Spanish 2 and 3 in a room for 90 minutes, and then just Spanish 2 in a room, and then Spanish 3, 4, and 5 in a room. So it was just God was setting me up for a huge challenge.
Yeah.
And it just burned me up, in
I bet.
ultimately a good way, because when I was able then to get into marketing, and just sit down and have a cup of coffee and start blogging 14 years ago, I was in heaven. I was like, this couldn't be work this compared
Yeah.
to what I was doing. Oh, I was so happy.
Isn't that incredible? And so basically, once you got a taste of that, you were like, I'm never going back. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
I found my place.
Yep. And the thing about public education is, I love everyone. I don't necessarily want everyone sleeping in my house, for example. I love the homeless. For those that can see me, I'm holding up something called a golden ticket. It's for free food and shelter for homeless here in Las Vegas, but they have to do drug rehab and mental health counseling or they don't get the ticket. It is what it is, right? You're ready to get clean? Great. Come in. Free food and shelter. We'll take care of you. You're not ready? Okay. That's a choice. We got free will. So I feel the same way about education, right? And I feel the same way about employment, right? Do you want to be here? Right. I will go to the bitter end with employees. But the question is, is this somewhere you actually want to be? Are you happy here? Because there's a lot of fish in the sea and a lot of places you can go. So public education to me sometimes is rough in that regard, because you may have a teacher that you don't necessarily vibe with. And there may be students that you don't necessarily like, you're just not the right fit, but it's so homogenous that it doesn't allow for any flexibility. And I think technology is going to solve that in the future. I think we're going to have more flexibility for students where they can pursue paths that make more sense for them. And so I'm happy to see slow transitions in that regard.
Yeah, I hear you. That is such a key thing. What does a day look like now for Kellen Kautzmann? What is a day in the life of Kellen Kautzmann today? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So the most important thing I think to take away is extreme responsibility for our thoughts. And so I made a decision. I can't remember when it was, but I have for many years believed that thoughts become things, that it begins in the mind and then it just expands outward. And then I just started getting really into that. And then my connection with God sort of increased as I allowed myself flexibility to actually forgive a lot of the folks in my life, because I would often associate religion with religious people. And that's a mistake because people make mistakes, right? And so as I kind of swam through that and got to land, I do not allow negative thoughts into my head without warding them off, if that makes any sense. Because I still think negative thoughts, for sure. They pop in there all the time. I see them and I go, nope. And I know that the question, some would answer this question like I wake up and I make some tea and then we have a morning meeting and then I've got sales calls throughout the day. Those things are all true, but the real work is happening in promoting positive thoughts and rejecting negative thoughts. Because that puts me in a place to be able to love and forgive and to do things differently, because it naturally flows. Because I'm not like right now, I'm not even talking, if that makes any sense. Like I've done the work and I'm listening to myself explain these things to you because these are the thoughts I've had in the past.
Yeah, I hear you. That's really cool, man. I like that. I like the point of view that you come in with. Very positive focus. Let's get rid of the bull crap. No negativity. Peace, love, right? Forgiveness. You've mentioned forgiveness quite a few times. I don't think you can ever mention forgiveness enough. You know what I mean? It's just one of those endless, buffet line things. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, pour me up some more of that, dude. I really want more of that, right?
Yeah.
So
it's delicious.
It's just so delicious. Yeah. And then that's the other crazy thing is like it doesn't ever get boring. It's not monotonous. It's not the same thing. It never runs out of flavor. It's always it's just one of those things that we can't get enough of here in our world today. So I'm with you, I guess, is my point that I'm really trying to make. We need more of it. So gosh, kudos to you for making that such a integral part of your journey, and everything that you're doing, everything that you're working on. Now, from a business standpoint though, Kellen, what type of events have really stood out to you in the last few years? Is there anything that's like any specific moments or any decisions in this entrepreneurial journey that just you really considered like so pivotal to the success that you're enjoying right now? And again, success is one of those words that can mean a lot of different things. And I think you're probably of that mindset that it certainly does not mean the old school, which is just who can stack the most chips and throw it in the other guy's face and show it off and and then they go home and they're miserable. And then they treat their significant other like trash, and they treat their kids like trash when they get home. That's your definition of success, because if it is, it ain't mine, right? So what's something that was pivotal in your journey that, and maybe you can even integrate that, like what does success look like for you?
Yeah, great question. Fantastic energy. I love where your head's at as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, believe that you have received it, right? That's a 2,000-year-old teaching. So in my mind, I only want the amount of money that allows me to still go hang out with my 14-month-old, right? During lunch, because I work from home. My brother, 16 years ago, 17 years ago, had a remote job, and I was peanut butter and jealous because I was all up there teaching, right? And I just made a mental decision that, in the event that I'm ever blessed enough to be able to do that, that I want to give that to as many people as possible, because people die on the roads. I'm jokingly the president of the work from home revolution. I'm a part of a few networking groups, and if anyone wants to join, Kellen@senditrising.com would be a good email. Just shoot me an email, let me know. But I'm as serious as one can be, because folks get paralyzed on the road. It's stressful. People are dying on the roads, and for what? So certain jobs, I get it. You got to go there. It's physical, you don't have a choice. But I think collectively we can give people autonomy to be able to live their lives in the way that that they see fit. I offer what might be, well, let me rephrase that. This job's real flexible. The people that work for me, real flexible, and by design, because the number of ways in which we can love someone is equal to the number of people on the planet times 1 trillion. So how does, and I'm bringing back the word love, by the way, people are real scared of that word because of the sexual connotation that it sometimes brings. But I fight that because I believe that the people I'm talking to, they know what I'm talking about. And when I say I love everyone, I mean it. I mean it. So how does an employer love an employee? Well, they give them freedom. They pay them well. That's what love looks like. Oh, but don't use the love word, right? People are really, it's like, you know what? No, I disagree. How does an employee love a boss, right? Well, they respect them, and they get that it's stressful and the money goes up and down, and you know what I mean? Like, this is how we love each other. And so I'm trying to design the most loving environment possible.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so then what would you say is probably the big challenge of our times, Kellen? What's the big challenge? What are we up against? As if I may, as small business owners, what's our little role, or what's our little thing that we can carve out so that we can make a bigger impact, so that we can make a bigger difference? I know you do, and one of the themes of this podcast is the networking side of that. So you're coming across people, you're networking, you're growing and expanding that, which means really that you have an opportunity to make an impact in the people that you're coming across, right? How do we as business owners, people who are self-employed, working from home, how do we still achieve that? Because sometimes we want to just kind of retreat to our little corner of the world over here, right? But how do we really make a difference out there? What are some of the bigger challenges that we can help to overcome?
So love everyone, tell the truth. I was at indoor soccer the other day, and as I continue to grow as a person, my insecurities are always exposed. They will always come to light, right? And so for some reason, I want people to think that I'm older than I am. So me turning 40 is like kind of a big deal to me, right? And so I was talking to the other team because love your enemies. Love your enemies, hello, because then you realize you don't have any enemies. So I went to the other team and we were joking, we were having a great time, whatever. And they're like, how old are you? And I said, I'll be 40 next month. But that was a lie. I was 40 in 2 months, but I let myself lie about it because I wanted it to seem like I was older than I was. So it's just exposing this like thing I have inside me to like feel right.
Sure.
Which, and so, here I am getting in front of, whoever's listening and I'm saying, tell the truth while I'm not telling the truth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I recognize that, but at the same time, I'm telling you, if you analyze comedians, what you'll find is they stand in front of a stage of people and they oftentimes their funniest jokes, their best jokes are just true. They're just, they speak the truth and people cannot stand it. Like their gut hurts and their face hurts from smiling so hard because here's someone that's willing to just tell the truth.
Yeah.
And the final thing I'll say on that is, so you're going to meet people and you're going to tell the truth and love them or you're not, right? That's it. Right. And they're going to have a certain title. They're going to have a certain appearance, right? They're a certain vehicle that they're driving their soul around. And it really, it really boils down to that. And so a lot of people will get obsessed with the tell the truth and they use it as a weapon and they hurt people, but it's true. They say it's true. But is it not true? And they stand in righteousness saying this is true. And they're often right. It is true. Still hurt that person. Yeah. And then you've got the other people on the other side are like, oh, I'll just say anything to anyone just so that they feel good. It doesn't necessarily have to be true. I'll sort of like, you know what I mean? It's like, try to combine those two things together and you've got a lifetime worth of work.
Yeah, no question. There's a lot on our plate as business owners, as entrepreneurs. A lot of people misunderstand us because the world is very focused on the 9-to-5 thing. That's just kind of what you do. You go to school, you get a job. I love seeing that there are more and more people that are freelancing, that are independent, that are contracting, that are small business owner, that are franchising, whatever it may be. But the point is they're doing it kind of on their own terms. Can you speak to maybe a little bit of that audience? If you're on the fence right now and you're like, I'm at my job, I'm Kellen, the Spanish teacher who's overworked, overburdened, super stressed, right? I'm that guy and I'm listening right now. What advice are you giving him for his future?
Make money while you still have a job. Right? Just show me the money, right? $500, $1,000, right? And then you got, pray, gut check, meditate on, can you envision it? And what is your body's reaction to that vision? So for those out there, I know you're in your car or you're in front of your computer, but do me a favor. Repeat after me. I made $6 million last year. I mean, how does that feel? Do you giggle? Is it a little like, I mean, what, like, is it difficult to say? Did you not say it? Did you think it? So it's the body it'll tell you.
Yeah.
It'll tell you like whether that's true, that can be true for you. Great exercise that my good friend Hansu Kim gave me back in the day on the 22nd floor of this beautiful castle in Minneapolis. I mean, we were sitting out there and he's like, yeah, ask for $30,000. Just do like a role play mock thing. I couldn't do it. I was like 19, I was giggling the whole time. I couldn't ask for it. That's a preposterous sum of money. Right. So, being able to envision what the outcome looks like, smell it, taste it, touch it in your mind, is real important.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, who are you looking up to these days? Who stands out to you? Who can you recommend? Maybe a couple of different names that somebody could grab their book and really be influenced by it in a very positive way. Anybody that you could put out there, a couple of ideas?
Well, if you haven't gotten into Ram Dass, I'll throw out some Ram Dass for you. Richard Alpert, former Harvard professor, went to India, met a guru by the name of Neem Karoli Baba. That's where the love everyone, tell the truth mantra comes from. I would like you to check out a gentleman by the name of Jesus. He did some very interesting things. And I would say if you're, super Christian, God bless you, that's great. If you're not, my advice is don't let what Christians have done to you in the past stop you from the basic tenets, which are love your neighbor, forgive everybody. Right. That's it. Just there we go. All right. Can you agree to that? Can you agree to that? Can we say love everyone,
Right.
forgive your neighbor? Like, are we cool there? Right.
Right.
If you could put your hands on someone and heal them, would you? Right. If someone had cancer and you could walk up to them, you could put your hand on their head, say some words and they were cured, would you? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, seriously on the Ram Dass front, if you go down YouTube and you type in his name, just beautiful depth to his story. And then obviously, I'm like Mr. Spiritual guy on a business podcast. I get it, but do allow yourself the opportunity to understand that if you're hearing this, maybe it's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe it's not a coincidence that some random guy named Kellen on some random podcast is talking in your ear right now about the connection between the soul and business, which is something that nobody talks about. I hear, maybe I'm just not in the right circles, but give yourself the leeway to bring love into business. And in my experience, it is, I would have it no other way.
I love it. I really love it. Kellen, if I wanted to reach out to you, if I'm listening and I wanted to learn more about you, your business, what's the best place to go to for that?
Well, I'm a pretty open guy, which you may have noticed. You would just email me, Kellen@senditrising.com. That is my personal email address. I will receive it unless it goes to junk. And you can always go to senditrising.com. But I'm about meeting with folks, so I'm happy to chat with you. So feel brave to reach out and let me know. Lots we could talk about.
Kellen, thank you for all of the beauty and all of the wisdom and all of the, for lack of a better term, countercultural things that you are sharing, especially within the business environment. We're not really supposed to talk about these things in this space, which makes it all the more important, right? And so thank you for being willing to be open, vulnerable, and being willing to go against the grain and do things that people are typically are not, because the people that are kind of going with the flow, they never really, those people don't get remembered for much, it's the ones that are going kind of opposite stream, upstream. And I think that's one of the things you're really trying to do with everything that you've shared with us today. So I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for all that you've shared. And it's been a great pleasure chatting with you.
Blessing received. And thank you.
Thanks so much, Kellen. That does it, guys, for another episode of the Business Networking Influencers Podcast. We will catch you here next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Business Networking Influencers Podcast. We hope you gained valuable insights and strategies to elevate your business and networking game. Don't forget to subscribe for more episodes filled with expert advice and inspiration. Until next time, keep connecting, keep growing, and keep influencing.